What's going on, YouTube? How's everyone doing? I got another video for you that I just really want to talk about fairly quick in this video. Just want to really kind of just backtrack to another video I made, just explaining some concerns that I did have with the new 2025 TVs coming out, mainly the LG G5. So I do want to talk about that, and I do want to use some examples with the LG G4 and the Samsung S90D, just to kind of, show you guys what my concerns are. So one of the things that I notice owning in a WOLED and a QD OLED, besides obviously the color, are some other things that I just feel like don't really get spoken about too much. And I do want to, really just talk briefly about that. Now, what I will say is that these things are like pros and cons. They're not necessarily either bad or good. They're more preference based, because personally, I like how they both kind of process a certain image on their own. And I'm hoping that in 2025, with the newer model years and the newer panel technology, especially for LG, that these things still kind of, you know, get improved while also still staying the same, if for lack of a better word, meaning that there's certain things that I really, really do like that I personally would hope and I would think most people would like to stay, um, or stick around or not get lost in the 2025 models. But at the same time, there's other things that you would hope can also get improved. Now, I'm going to use this example right now, guys. As you can see, this is the beginning of an LG QNED AK mini LED sample, but you see this demo used a lot with OLED TVs, WOLEDs, QD OLEDs. It doesn't matter. This uh, demo is extremely popular. Obviously, I have 4K TVs, so the max resolution is in 4K, which is perfectly fine. So now, um, the first thing I do want to talk about is obviously when you look at this image, it's funny when you talk about brightness, because there's a difference that you would have to distinguish when it comes to brightness that a lot of people do still get mixed up no matter how much they watch these videos. But I think there's obviously a good portion of us that will really tell me that I'm pretty much just playing Captain Obvious here. But for those who don't know, you have color brightness and you have overall picture brightness. And basically, this is good solid proof that a QD OLED, even when it's more of a, let's say, natively less bright of a TV compared to the LG G4, still has more color brightness compared to it, which is going to lead me to my concern with the G5. Now, as you guys can clearly see, you have more color out of a QD OLED. The pinks are more pink, the greens are more green, and then this outer layer out here, as you can see, is dimmer than it is here. Now that could be a processing thing that Samsung chose to do and LG chose to do, and how they want their look, their signature look to be. But to the same token, is probably due to LG wanting to really not sacrifice as much fine detail, as you can see around the edge of that sample right there. LG definitely shows more fine detail, and it can preserve the blacks more on a scene like this. Now, everyday content is going to be different, but this is truly showing what these two TVs actually do in certain situations, which is really what I want to point out here. Now, So, although to my point again, where the S90D has more color brightness, um, that is going to be up to you whether you prefer that look over that look right there. It's just pretty much that simple. I'm lucky enough to own both TVs and I enjoy them both pretty much equally. Um, and it's still hard for me to really choose one or the other. So there's times where I do like the S90D more. There's times where I do like the LG G4 more. So it really does come down to the content and what you're actually doing in that time and moment. But again, it's funny how LG is an overall brighter TV. The G4 is an overall brighter TV, but the Samsung S90D can actually look brighter um, a lot of times. And you're talking about a TV that is significantly less money and has much better color in terms of, you know, situations like this where the scene is demanding tons and tons of color. Now, with that said, the fact that the S90D can get brighter, it's specifically in color, not overall picture brightness. So in real world content, you're going to notice that the LG overall is has brighter highlights, has more more overall picture brightness. Even though it may not be as colorful, like you'll notice that pretty much only in movies like Avatar, highly colorful, highly CGI, you know, a lot of graphics, a lot of high end CGI going on. You'll notice those things more so if they're side by side. If you have one or the other at home, you're probably not going to care because you're done shopping. You're not even thinking about that anymore. So that's kind of where the TVs are at there. So that brings me to pretty much my concern with the new tandem OLED technology, that four stack technology. I know there's a long term name for it. I can care less to actually appropriately say it. We all know what we're talking about here. But, you know, with this new technology, here's my primary concern. And I touched on this a little bit on another video, but I didn't touch on it fully. So I just feel like with this new tandem technology that yes, the color is going to be brighter. You're going to get more luminosity out of all the colors. We're going to have more coverage in BT 2020 space, so LG claims. Um, but my concern is if the white subpixel on the WOLED panel has to stress more and get brighter more, even brighter, to keep the TV panel as bright as what they say it's going to be with your overall picture, then is it just going to cancel out the other? Like, is it still going to be the same difference, but everything just be brighter compared to the LG G4? And then in all reality, you're still not getting more BT 2020 color space because, again, that white pixels washed out the color again. So that's my main concern there. So this is what my hope is. My hope is that LG, with this new tandem OLED technology, this four stack technology, I'm hoping that they didn't have to use the white subpixel in order to get brighter. My hope is that they found a way to not only get color brightness, color luminosity up there better than it was with, you know, the G4, but excuse me, but without having to use the white OLED subpixel to do the work, because at that point, I truly do feel like it's kind of pointless and you really are washing out the color. You're starting to get to a point where, just like the G4 with the MLA technology, the G3, although it wasn't as bright, it had better color. And then the G2 also had better color than the G3, and so on and so forth, because it wasn't as bright as the LG G3. And this is a WOLED issue that if you go back in time, you will notice. And you will notice people actually talk about it. And you will notice people that have the LG G2 say the same thing. If they have both of them, if they have the LG G2 at home, and then they have also an LG G4 at home as well, maybe in another room. And they will tell you that they do notice that the color, they do think, although it's not as bright, the LG G2 or LG G3 does have better color than the G4. And it is a small percentage. But this is something that one year it's a small percentage, another year it's a small percentage, the other year it's a small percentage, and your overall color coverage is getting worse every year at a very small incremental. And I'm hoping that that doesn't happen. So that's my primary concern there. Now, it may be very well true that LG does have a way to execute better color without using the white subpixel, and then just kind of canceling that better color capability out. And I'm hoping that it's through making the TV itself more efficient with what they're doing, with either like a really good heatsink that is exclusive to them, better ventilation, better use of energy because of the four stack technology. So, there's different ways and different avenues that they can take advantage of, but we really won't know until we actually have these TVs in the house and actually utilizing them in real world content, gaming, HDR, 4K, SDR movie. Everybody has a different primary use case for their TVs, and you probably want to tune your research to those specific researches and reviews, videos, whatever the case is, because there's going to be a lot of them out there. I personally cover a lot of gaming. I cover a lot of 4K HDR. I'm not so much of an SDR fan. For me, I'm not buying these TVs to go back and make it look like the same exact way it did with my old TVs, just a little bit brighter. I want more out of my experience, and that's why I get these TVs. I go full-blown HDR and max out the TVs to its best capability. And then, I'll fine tune it from there my way so I can get the experience that I want. And that's really what I cover the most. So, so I'm going to just kind of, I guess, play this and I'll let it replay. But yeah, so that's my biggest concern with the LG G5. Now, my other concern with QD OLED technology is this. I don't really see them taking initiative or even talking about, and again, I could be wrong, behind the scenes they're doing their thing or whatever. We don't even know because they don't even care to talk about it. But they never really explain fully of how more efficient their TVs are going to be the next model year. We always hear TV brands talking about it all the time, but they sometimes go into more detail. They even show you samples, like the way Panasonic did in CES, which was awesome. I think that was pretty cool to show that. But with Samsung, being that they don't really use a heatsink in their panels, and being that the fact that the TV gets dim a lot quicker, in my personal opinion, than the LG G4, and the S90D, by the way, is not even as bright as the S95D, and it still gets you know, it just the overall brightness limiter just kind of dims quicker with the S90D. So that's my biggest concern there. Is since they're not talking about it and their TVs are getting brighter and higher peak brightnesses, or I'm sorry, brightness. I don't know why I said that, but why or what are they doing to make the TV more efficient and make the overall screen cooler? Because there is no heatsink, to my understanding, to my knowledge, there is none. And they do already dim a lot quicker than standard WOLED. As an owner of these TVs, and as an owner of, or potential owner, you guys will be either on the current QD OLED or the future QD OLED, I would recommend to consider something that kind of concern, only because it will definitely have an impact on the actual reliability or longevity of the TV, especially if you're a hardcore gamer or you watch in vivid or standard mode like I do. Not so much vivid mode, but in standard mode. And then I definitely adjust my settings primarily through standard. So that is something that you should really truly take note of, because unless I'm missing something or I missed a video or whatever the case is, or I missed anything about Samsung being able to manage their TV to stay brighter for longer, that should be one of those back of your mind concerns, especially if you're kind of the person that keeps your TVs for 5 years to 10 years, whatever the case is. You really want to be conscious of that, because I don't really see a lot of talk about that. Now, that's probably the biggest thing that I really, really want to talk about in this video, guys. I really love both of these TVs. They definitely have their pros and cons about them. They are both amazing. But, when it comes to which blacks are deeper, there's really not that much of a difference. I do have a feeling it's just image processing and algorithm differences that these two TVs have, because if they're both OLEDs, one being a QD OLED and one being a WOLED, they both have the same exact capability of keeping your blacks perfect. It's all in a matter of what type of HDR content you're playing, what type of signal it's receiving, and based off that signal it's receiving is going to choose how they want their image to look in real time, and it's like faster than any human can blink. So that's how good the processing is for both of these TVs as far as that goes. I do think as far as the overall processor, I think LG definitely has it down the best. It has this more contrast kind of look to it. It also has like this more fine detailed look to it that definitely makes an image look more 3D. But I will say, when it comes to like the anime or animated games, high colored movies, sometimes because the color is so much more highly capable in a QD OLED, and it can make the image, especially a very colorful image, look more clear, like crystal clear. It definitely has that advantage over WOLED. Because of that, it can also make an image in those particular scenes look more 3D than the LG G4. So they have their pros and cons about them, guys. There's really no other way to kind of put it. But I will tell you that I personally think that if LG managed to make an OLED that has an amazing processor, really good motion, a lot of high-end gaming features, settings, and things like that, all while being able to give you a higher percentage of color in real-world content. without having to sacrifice pushing the WOLED and canceling that color out. We got ourselves a TV that I feel is just the beginning of something that they are only going to capitalize off each year. They will progress and get better every year on their new panel technology. And, maybe once they get to a certain point in time, my guess is they may not even have to rely on that white subpixel anymore. It will get that advanced, I'm hoping. And I'm hoping sooner than later. So I kind of feel like that's kind of like on the back of LG's minds is, hey, let's release this tandem OLED technology. We're gonna get better color. Yes, we still have to use the white subpixel now at the moment because we're still in the beginning stages of this new panel technology and we're still developing it. And it's the same thing. Just like if you go back to the S95B, you have two familiar technologies. Like you have OLED technology and then you have quantum dot technology. And all LG did was take those two technologies and blend them together to create a new panel technology. And then they just took off from there and they started really developing their QD-OLED technology to just vastly and extremely quickly advance. And I'm hoping that that's what LG has in their back pocket that we just don't know about because this is Gen 1 of that technology. So that's kind of like my main point that I'm trying to make here, and I'm hoping. So I know I touched on it on an earlier video. I just wanted to get more into depth in it in this one, just to try to explain myself a little bit better. But yeah, what do you guys think? I'm hoping that you enjoyed this video. I'm hoping that you enjoyed this conversation because, yes, these TVs have the capability to achieve what's on paper, but when it comes to real world content, it really is a different story. They do operate quite differently in real world technology. You'll notice when these are home, and let's say you want to test those theories and things like that of what they say on paper, you will notice that in real world content, it is very different than what they explain the TV panels can do on paper. And honestly, you don't even need measuring tools to see that for the most part. You can just clearly tell. Like, for example, this is the S90D we're looking at right here. I'm just going to hit the menu right here, right? So you guys can see that it is indeed the Samsung. And then I'm going to hit the menu for LG right here. So as you can see, that is the LG right there. So these are my user settings. And then I don't know what's going on with the Samsung here. It usually doesn't take that long. Here, let me just, anyways, I'll get there. I think my battery is low, but anyways, I will get there. So yeah, so for example, right? Let's go back to this first initial picture right here, and we're gonna look. Now we're gonna press pause. The LG is a notably brighter TV in real world content, right? And this goes back to my first point that I want to bring back again. But you will see that even though the Samsung S90D is the TV that is supposed to be natively not as bright as even the S95D and the LG G4 has measured to be brighter than the S95. Oh, there goes my menu. Sorry, guys. Let me just cancel that out. For the S90D, it's still in certain times, not all the time, but in certain times, it still can get brighter than the LG G4. So that's my point right there. Going back is what you see on paper doesn't always reflect what happens in real world, whether it's demos, whether it's movies, or whether it's gaming. Gaming can still be brighter in the S90D when it comes to colorful content, but then you will notice that the LG G4 definitely has the overall brighter picture when you're playing an RPG game. Um, and it's that's just how it is. Those are things that you really can't change. It's just the way the TVs are. So whether you're considering one or the other, because last year's models are going to be lowered, even lower in a few months. I don't know, maybe by $200-300. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not the pro when it comes to the pricing, but I will express how you will probably expect these TVs to look at home, and I'm hoping that it just helps you and it helps you make some kind of decision. If you have any questions or anything, please let me know. I'm just going to wrap this up by saying thank you guys for all your support, and I'm truly hoping that this does help somebody. And please go into the comments and ask whatever comments or questions you may have. I have a lot of really smart, like knowledgeable friends in the comments that also do help out and know these TVs pretty well too. And it again, it really does depend on your personal primary use case, on what you like. I'm guessing that if you can afford the S90D, you'll be able to afford the LG G4. You just don't know if you want to spend that money. Don't worry about that, guys, right there. That happens because of the splitter for some reason with the Samsung. The splitter has like this weird handshake issue that doesn't happen in real content or hooked up and directly to the back of the TV. But anyways, guys, thank you so much, and yeah, I will see you on the next one.